Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video we're going to be talking about radio pouch options for the Baofeng AR-152. If you own one of these radios, or if you've seen the review, you should be aware that there is no belt clip on the back of the radio, nor a provision for a belt clip. So this is a radio that you pretty much are going to have to buy some form of pouch for. I imagine you could probably put this in a pocket or throw it into a pack. That might work, but it's also a pretty effective way of losing your radio on the trail. And if you put it in a pocket, it's going to need to be a big pocket, because if you're not aware of how big this radio is, there it is with its cousin, the UV5R. It's a massive radio. It's a big son of a gun. But I'm going to tell you something. I kind of savaged this thing a little bit in the review. And I will say this, it's one very tough radio, because during the development of these pouches, this radio was on a table to the side of my workstation, and no less than 7 times this thing got knocked off the table, and in one case got kicked across the concrete. And it seems to be no worse for wear. I've got a couple of scuffs and scratches on the back. I got a little teeny tiny chip right there, but otherwise the thing works just fine. The battery held nice and tight, still locks up nice, and the radio still functions just fine, or at least how it did before. How about that? But one thing that's undoubtable, you're going to need some kind of pouch. So full disclosure, as you're probably aware, I'm half owner of Specter gear. So we manufacture radio pouches, and we make them for a wide variety of HTs. And now we're making them for the AR-152. We've had the MOLLE pouch out for a while, but the belt pouch is a very recent introduction. So I'll show you the 2 different versions. I mean, the pouches from the front are identical, but where they differ is on the back at the attachment point. This pouch is designed for MOLLE applications, also known as modular applications, and this will fit any of the mil-spec MOLLE carriers that are out there. This, however, is a belt-mounted version, and it'll fit up to a 2-inch wide belt, but it works just fine with trouser belts. So let me get into the actual attachment methodologies, and then we'll move to the front of the pouch. So on the MOLLE version, we feature our Specter strap system, and what the Specter strap system is rather than the MOLLE straps being sewn in and the snap being mounted to the back of the pouch, these straps are actually removable and replaceable. So if you happen to have the rare occasion of having a snap failure, we do our best to make sure it doesn't happen, but from time to time it's going to happen because it is a mechanical device. But should that fail, you don't need to replace the pouch or send it back to have the entire pouch disassembled to install a new snap. We'll just send you a new strap to replace the one that went bad on you. Like I say, it doesn't happen a heck of a lot, but it happens enough that it's definitely a salient feature for this system. Now, the belt-mounted pouch, this features our wraparound belt loop system, and the way this works is rather than a conventional sewn-in belt loop where you're required to remove all of the items from a given belt and then feed the pouch onto the belt. In this case, all you need to do is have an open spot on your belt and just simply open up the belt loop, wrap it around, close it, and you're good to go. Now, if you happen to be using a belt similar to our TAC Ops belt that has Velcro loop lining on the inside of the belt, we also offer a corresponding Velcro hook on the other side of the wraparound belt loop. And if you were to remove this pad and then lock that down onto that Velcro on the inside of the belt and then close it up, it would lock the pouch in place so it's not going to shift laterally, and it's always going to be in the same spot that you left it on the belt. But if you're using a belt that doesn't have Velcro loop lining and you don't want to have that Velcro hook material chewing up your belt, or if it's, for instance, like a rigger's belt or a last resort belt that you're using as a trouser belt, you definitely want to have this silencer pad on there, and it's provided with every one of our wraparound belt loop applications. In that case, if you were using a trouser belt, you would just close the loop to its tightest possible point, and then you would just simply feed through just like you would a normal conventional belt loop. So those are the 2 attachment methodologies. Now, getting to the actual pouch itself, the pouch body is constructed 1000 denier core duranylon. It has a 420 denier pack cloth inner liner. At the bottom, we have a number 0 drain hole grommet. Moving up to the upper portion of the pouch, we have this elastic material here. And what this is, and you can kind of see the effect that it's having here, what this elastic does is it allows the pouch to expand and contract based on what you have on the radio. If you have nothing on the radio at its tightest possible point, it fits just fine. But it also, should you have any peripherals like a speaker mic plugged into the side, it allows the pouch to expand out to accommodate that speaker mic. The closure is this cord arrangement here, and I'll show you in just a moment. I'll put the radio actually in the pouch and show you how it locks up. But it is removable and adjustable. It interfaces with the Velcro loop on the inside, so you can adjust this for fit exactly how you want it. It will come set up from shipping to fit this radio, or closely fit this radio. But if you want to fine tune it, you can. The actual retention is Velcro on the front of the pouch. And one thing you're going to note is there are no hard points on the front of the pouch at all. There are some radio pouches that will feature specifically the ones that are designed to fit the AR-152, which I'm going to tell you is a good bit larger than this radio. So if you get a AR-152 pouch, it's going to be pretty darn big for this radio, both in terms of height, width, and thickness. They are not the same animal, so you will find right away, and we do have a pouch for the AR-152 that we produced in the past, and I tried this out and it didn't fit worth a darn. It was just swimming inside of the thing. But one thing that we don't have on this pouch is any kind of hard buckle on the front of the pouch. That's something you're going to want to avoid on a radio pouch. In a typical arrangement where you have that side release buckle, because of the size of the side release buckle, your surface mount portion would be right about here. Now, if you look, that would be right in front of your keypad. Now, let's say you hit the ground and or hit an obstruction or whatever. It's going to then focus that energy through that smaller surface area of that buckle right into these delicate keys, and you could potentially cause yourself some damage to the internal portion of the radio. So we don't put any hard points on the front. Now, the way we have this set up, it's not necessarily designed for any padding, although if you do look at the cumulative effect of the two pieces of Velcro, the elastic, that's a little bit of cushioning there. But what we don't want to do is put anything on the pouch that's going to make the problem worse for you. So that's the basic design of the pouch. Let me show you how it works in action. So if I'm putting the radio in and I have no devices attached, no speaker mics or anything, it's a pretty simple affair. It just slides right in, and then the cord comes, and then you just snug down the Velcro. Now, you could take the extra precaution, go to either side of the lanyard tab there. It's not necessarily important, but it's going to hold it pretty effectively because Velcro does resist this direction, not necessarily that direction, which is what makes it so effective as a retaining device. It's going to take quite a bit of effort to actually pull this loose in that direction. This is not necessarily anything that's going to snag enough to allow it to pop open. So pretty effective closure design. Now let me show you how it looks with the speaker mic attached. I've got a speaker mic here. Let's go ahead and pop the little port open. See if I can remember how this goes. Oh yeah, I thought that was a pivot point. That's actually the tab. Okay, so you plug your speaker mic in. Now, one thing you're going to note is, and this is something you're going to have to do with a couple of radios that's set up this way. I don't really care for this flap that goes downward. I like one that folds to the rear or one that's completely removable. But in this case, one thing you're probably going to want to do, if you try to put it in with it in this position, that's going to be a little too much bulk on the side. So as you insert your radio into the pouch, you're going to want to get in the habit of holding that tab down as you're inserting. Once you're past that point, it goes in no problem. You might have it catch the edge binding there. If it does, just a little simple finger sweep clears it out of the way. But as you can see, it expands out perfectly to accommodate that plug set. So you're not going to have any problem with fitment within the pouch if you are running a speaker mic. And if you're running this particular radio, chances are good you're likely running a speaker mic. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. That's the AR-152 pouch. I really don't think there's too much more to talk about on this. It's a very simple design. It's a very robust design. Stitching, of course, I didn't really talk about that, but as you can see from the level of stitching here, there's at least a quad stitch running up the side here. There's a quad stitch at the bottom. Everything's designed to be robust, long-lasting. The materials are top quality. We make these things to last a good long time. Now, in 5 or 7 years, if you put this thing under pretty rugged use, it's going to look like crap, but it's still going to be working just fine. And it's going to be exactly where you left it on your carrier or on your belt, and you don't need to worry about your radio disappearing on the trail. So with that, I think I'll bring it to a close and end it here. But if you're interested in these pouches or any of our other radio pouches, please visit spectergear.com. I'll leave a link in the description for these particular pouches so you can find them on the website. That's pretty much it. So with that, bring it to a close. Thank you for watching. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee in Southwest Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.